Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi. Just like I started last week, I'm back with a new video or update for immigrants, which is the flagpoling video. It depends on what you want to call it. It can update or a video or whatever. Anyway, let's get right into it. So I have noticed that there has been a mystery around who can and who cannot flagpole in Canada. I know this because I follow a lot of immigration pages on Instagram and Facebook just to be in the loop of what's going on the street, understanding what is going on in people's mind. And I see a lot of people, I mean new immigrants, that are confused whether they are eligible to flagpole or not. And so I decided to just do more research and to answer this question and see, because I see that is always troubling people. And because recently there was an update from CBSA, which is the Canada Border Services Agency, that was effective from 30th of May. Yeah, I'm late to the party, I know, but it's better late than never, right? So basically, they now have restricted timings at 12 of the very popular port of entries that has even raised more confusion for people. So let's just try and break it down and understand a bit what flagpoling really is, what you can do, what you can't do, and what you should absolutely not do. So I spoke about this in one of my videos where I said my flagpole wasn't successful because of plenty of reasons. I'm going to link it somewhere so you can watch it, right? So the first thing is explaining how it works. Flagpoling is a language that is used when a foreign national who is already in Canada, leaves Canada and returns to Canada without crossing into the US. The reason they may do this is to obtain new temporary status, such as a renewed study permit or a work permit. Basically means that you are currently in Canada on a valid status. Emphasis on valid status. Then you exit through the land border. If you have a car, you can drive and walk the rest, or you charter a cab. Yeah, so you walk to the border. Basically, you go towards the US, towards the United States, and you inform the United States immigration officer that you're flagpoling. Nobody will disturb you when you're exiting Canada. But please tell them that you are going to flagpole so they know that you're not going to seek asylum or you want to run away, or so that they will give you the right documents. So they usually just give an administrative refusal. So then they will also hand you a piece of paper stating that you are flagpoling. So they do this on the daily, so I'm sure they know how it goes. So those don't get confused if they give you anything. Then you just make a U-turn and return back to the Canadian side, which is the Canada border. Mind you, you are basically entering into Canada again. So therefore, you have to inform the officer at the port of entry that you're flagpoling and you're applying for a work permit or whatever status you're applying for. You would then be redirected to the immigration office at the port of entry, and there at the immigration office, you will be meeting with the CBSA officers who are responsible for certain immigration activities at the port of entry. And when you get there, you'll be presenting your case. Yes, you will be, presenting your application after undergoing certain checks of your documentation. And of course, they will be asking you certain questions as if you're doing a proper interview, you understand? So be prepared. If they sense any anky-panky, they have the right to also reject you. So many a time, or 95% of the time, you may be issued your new permit document where you would, of course, be paying a fee. And it sounds easy, right? Yeah, it's actually very easy depending on your case. Also, there is no requirement for any specific forms that you need to fill. You just need to carry out the required documents as applicable to your application. Yeah, which is usually study permit renewal, work permit renewal, spousal work permit renewal, and all that good stuff. For example, if you are applying for your spousal open work permit, like I went to do, you don't really need to fill any form or nothing. You just carry your spousal valid work permit, your marriage certificate, passport copies, employment documents, pay stubs, all these documents, and also your medicals. So carry all of these documents with you and be prepared to pay a fee. Also be prepared to answer any questions that the officer might be concerned about. And if everything is good, you will be issued your new work permit and then you're free to go and start working immediately. Yeah, this in a nutshell is how flagpoling process work. So now we're going to talk about who can do it and who cannot. Yes, well, technically, if you are in Canada on a valid status, you all can basically do this. However, it is not always recommended if you are out of status, just like I was sometime last year, and we still get coconutted. We went there to the border, but we're sent back. Thankfully, we're able to get the Miladi's visitors record done, so that we can secure health insurance for him. So basically, if you are looking to restore your status, or if you are in a complex situation like I was, or some other certain application types, you might not be able to flagpole. For example, you cannot apply for a bridge open work permit by flagpoling. There are other certain work permits that are not always issued under certain public policies that cannot be done at the port of entry. So therefore, you need to be aware of what you can do and what you cannot do. Also, when you are appearing at the port of entry on the Canada side, you have to always remember that now that you are entering Canada, you are subject to questions again as may be applicable to you in your case. And if there is ever any issue in your background or your documents, they can always be an issue. Therefore, flagpoling should be your last resort. It should never be the first option. Like your work permit is expiring and you want a quick work permit and you think you should run to the port of entry. Nah. They will ask you if you've applied online, just like they did us. And if you say no, I am most certain that they will tell you to go back, as that should be your last resort. Even most lawyers or consultants would not recommend you to go to the port of entry first, because this is something which you should undergo only if there is only if there are pressing issues or circumstances in your case. But recently, CBSA, who is in charge of all the port of entry operations, has now indicated specific timings at 12 very important and popular ports of entries. Some of them are in British Columbia, some are in Quebec and Ontario as well. In Ontario, they always have had specific timing. For example, if you were to go to the Rainbow Bridge in the Niagara region, there is always a timing from Tuesday to Thursday. Only on these 3 days could you go there, 8 a.m. to midnight to flagpole. There are a lot of people who would like to go, get their processes done by flagpoling. So you should be prepared to come there early. You should be prepared to wait. And mind you, they only accept certain numbers of application based on their processing time. So it is not unheard of that you arrive there and they chase you back home, or you arrive there at 7:30 and they tell you that they reached their maximum capacity for the day. So be aware of the port of entry that you're trying to go for flagpoling. Be aware of their timing. Do your research thoroughly, or you could even call them to ask. If you can't find information online, you can call them. Also, the new schedule for the timing for different ports of entry has already been published online. So I should find a link and put it here. So for some, it's Monday to Thursday. For some, it's Tuesday to Thursday. And also the timing vary from port to port. So beware of the timing. Otherwise, you just be making the trip and you won't achieve anything. At least you get to see the Niagara Fall for people that are going to that place. So a win is a win. Yeah. Lastly, I've seen questions that are these 12 ports the only place that they are now allowed to flagpole? Well, that's not true. It just means that these are the places that are most popular and they now have specific timings in the day of the week where you can flagpole. At this point, you're still free to go for flagpole at any port of entries that have not been included in this list, but always do your research beforehand to know if they are accepting applications or if they have restrictions. Finally, all I can say is that flagpoling is absolutely a legal process that you can do, but don't opt for these routes except if your circumstances demand it. I've come to the end of this video. I hope it's clearer now for people who are inside Canada or need to renew their permit, and people who are coming to Canada soon. You see that I did not mention visitors visa. You cannot flagpole, but I know people, you don't want to hear it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I've blabbered a lot. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in another immigration video.
I know you told your friend you're not